Hello, thank you so much for purchasing my miniature book kit. And I'm just going to show you really quickly how to make it. So first off, all you're going to need is the stuff from the kit. So it's 4 different sizes of books. You get 6 little blocks of each size, and then stickers to cover the books. And in terms of tools, all you're going to need, I would recommend, is either a pin. This will help you get the sticker up if it's being stubborn, or I love the fancy tool that I get from the Cricut, which is like this, and it's really great to peel up a stubborn sticker. That's just optional if you're having trouble. You could also try tweezers, or if you have a really good set of fingernails. Each of these smaller size books has one extra beyond how many stickers there are, because I want to show you really quickly how to make your own sort of custom covers. Beyond what I have. If you want to fill a whole little bookshelf, which you can buy from me as well, you're going to need more than just this. You don't realize how many books it takes to fill a bookshelf until you start making them by hand. If that's the case, I'm going to show you how to make your own. And for that, you're going to need some scrap paper, anything you like that you think would look good as a little tiny book. So to make the basic set that I've sent you, we're going to start with the largest size first, because the largest ones are the easier ones, and this will give you a sense of how it works. So just tear the tape off. Should tear off easily. And now you've got your wood out. For the larger size, I am using old Scrabble tiles from old beat up Scrabble games that I get at thrift stores for like $1. And this is going to make your anthology set that I have. So let's just start with the first volume. I have each size labeled on the sticker sheet, and just carefully peel it up. I just bend the sticker sheet just a little bit, and I say be careful just in case the cut isn't perfect. You don't want to be too rough with it, because then it'll come off nice and smooth. And this is pretty easy. You're just going to take your piece of wood, move this out of the way. You're going to take your piece of wood or Scrabble tile, and I would say place the front cover first, because that's going to be the most, the one you want to look the most perfect. Line it up as close to the edge as possible, right? And just gently rub that down. Don't scratch it too much. You don't want to damage the sticker unless you want it to look really old. So, quick note, sometimes Scrabble pieces can be slightly different sizes from each other, and same goes for my little pieces of wood that I'm providing you. So there's some cases where it may not fit perfectly. We'll probably get to one of those along the way, but this one fits pretty perfect. So I'm just going to press it down, and then with some tension, I'm going to fold it over, and keep that as straight as possible. And look at that. It's that easy, guys. Especially on these Scrabble ones, because they're bigger, they're easier to get exactly perfect. Okay? And so let's just go ahead and make all of these. I'll speed it up. If you need to reposition, you can. Just be very careful, and if you do it more than once or twice, it will start to lose its stick, so just know that. Now you can see on this one, this piece is just a tad bit smaller than the other one, so that is hanging off the edge. You can just leave it like that if you don't really care. You could also trim it. I'm fine with it because my books are basically going to be seen from the spine on the shelf. All right, So there we have it, our 10 volume anthology of Schaefer's unfinished projects. And that will make a great addition to your bookshelf. Now, if you wanted to get extra perfect on this, and let's say you're looking at these and you're like, I don't really like the little edge that's showing here. So what I'm doing here is on the fact that there's, you know, some of the pieces are just slightly different sizes. Some of that piece of wood is sticking out, and I'm a perfectionist, so I want them to look really even and consistent. So I'm going through with an ultra fine tip Sharpie, just barely marking that with black so it blends in. This is completely optional. Honestly, it's still gonna look good. In fact, you might think this looks better like that as opposed to these. It's totally up to you on how much work you want to do on this, but I'm just showing you as an option in case it bugs you. Just be really careful because you could easily accidentally color on the label and it might end up backfiring. So proceed with caution. Yeah, I like that. I like that better. I think it looks really even and consistent. All right, so we're done with those. Now let's move on to the others. We've got, I'm gonna, again, go out of order number-wise, but I'm gonna go by size. 2 is the next biggest size, and that is this row of stickers here on the sheet. So it's basically the same concept. It just gets a little bit more challenging with the smaller ones. And these are hand-cut pieces of scrap wood by me, so there will be a little bit more imperfection, but I'm gonna show you why that's potentially a good thing. But if you get a piece that looks really off for some reason, you can always sand these down just a little bit. Just don't sand them too much because then the sticker won't fit as perfectly. All right, so again, you've got 6 of these, but I've only got 5 stickers, so set aside one of them. I keep my book pieces taped together until the end so that they don't get mixed up. All right, so this is size 2. And it's just like the others, except smaller. And I always start with the front cover first. And you can even go like not as tight on these so that it looks a little rounded like a hardback. You see that? And it kind of has that sheen of a hardback right there. And see, you'll see some of it will hang off. I'm fine with it because again, I like the look of the hardback. And again, I'm mainly concerned about the spine looking good in this case because I want to put it on a bookshelf, but it's up to you how crazy you want to go on these. I'm just going to add it to my row. And we'll just keep going. What I like about the wood is that it actually looks like sort of an aged paper of a book, like especially like a paperback. Like, and if the sticker is feeling too big or you don't like the way that it's fitting, you can reposition. Like I'm just gonna have this go over the edge just a little bit on both sides. And again, these can start to look, you know, if you reposition it too much, it'll lose its stick. You could always use glue if that starts to happen, or double-sided tape. But I kind of like the look of this edge hanging off because it looks like a hardback again. There will be just the slightest differences in like the way that my machine cut the stickers. The size of the wood sometimes is slightly off. And as hard as I try to make them perfect, there will be slight differences. But again, it will, in the end, make these look more varied and unique and real, as opposed to just, you know, something that was churned out of a factory. and then you have one extra. Save that for the end. So let's move on to the next size. We'll do size 1, and that's this row. Once you get into the groove, it's pretty easy. And then you set your extra one aside. Now size 3, the smallest size. For some reason this tape is hard to get off. Just use a pair of scissors to get in there. Size 3. Now, I'm being a perfectionist and I see a little bit of wood sticking up above that, so I'm just going to take a piece of fine grit sandpaper with the sticker, which I wouldn't recommend, but I'm just going to give it a little sand. You could also, if it's really uneven, I'm going to do my best to get these as perfect as I can for you, but these are all hand cut, so there will be imperfections. And see, I just gave it a little trim at the top. See? Handmade. Now see, on that one, the peel came off a little rough. That's okay. I'll show you what happens. Okay, so I'll show you what happens if a little bit of the sticker doesn't come off. It'll kind of peel up. You can put glue here, but honestly, sometimes I kind of like it like that because it looks like a real book that's been read and has some bend to it. So I'm going to leave it. Okay, so here's an example. I peeled off the sticker, and then when I went to put it on, I saw that the wood is just a little bit too big. So before I put the sticker, I'm just going to give it a quick little sand, or maybe even trim off a bit if I want. But that's totally optional. It'll be close regardless. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I love it. And there you have it. So that's the complete set that you get, okay? And I'm going to show you how to custom make some covers. And if you have wood, you can go ahead and copy my sizes if you want, and make a whole slew of tiny little books for yourself. I would love that for you, because I don't know if you understand how long it took me to design each one of these books from scratch. Like, look, barcode, quotes, New York Times bestseller, the spine, no detail was spared. So these took me a really long time, and so I had to limit how many. Maybe I'll do some new editions. Anyway, so let's move these out of here. All right, here's how you can make your own custom book covers. It's a pretty simple process. I've got this paper. I'm going to go ahead and just pick one, line it up, and then turn it over. Come in here with a pencil and just draw the outline so I know generally what I'm dealing with. And then I'm just going to turn it up. This is the lazy way of doing it. This will give me a rough cut. But basically you're going to cut a strip the width, and then we'll trim this down after wrapping it. Okay, so this will make sense. So basically, to recap, you're going to place the book cover down on your scrap paper, draw a line, and then cut a strip that's going to be longer, see? But we're going to use that to get it really precise. And so now it's just a matter of taking some glue. I'm just going to go ahead and use a good old-fashioned glue stick. You can use any type of glue you want. But I'm just going to go ahead and get glue on the whole piece, or at least most of it, all the way up to the edges. Line it up. I'm going to give it just the slightest overhang. And then carefully wrap it around. Press. And then cut. If you're worried about glue getting on your scissors, just give them a wipe. Okay? And look how easy that was. And if you can go as to much detail, you could draw on this, you could try to write something tiny, like holy shit or something like that on there. But that looks so cute. This does work easier with thinner paper. Cardstock will work, but it'll be less forgiving and leave crease lines if you need to reposition it. So it's really up to you. I'll show you with a piece of cardstock here in a second. So if you have a bunch of scrap paper, even like old magazines, pick something you like and make yourself a ton of tiny books. Here's another piece of paper. Line it up, draw along there, and then you could use a paper cutter if you wanted to get really exact, but I'm just going to do one long straight cut, like so. And before I put glue on it, I'm just going to position it and make sure I got enough paper and that I like the height of it and all that before I put glue on it. Just to save myself that trouble. Glue. Position it straight as you can. And then fold over. So easy. So easy. And then just trim that off. Boom. Another tiny book. Now, if you're trying to create a bookshelf, see how cute that looks, the different patterns and stuff. So you can really make it look like a real bookshelf with variety. Now I have this paper, which I was thinking, wouldn't that be cool if it had like sort of two colors on it? Who cares? But I like that idea and I'm going to try it. So I'm going to line this up. Now I know that I'm doing it this way, so this is the way. I'm just gonna draw a line there and cut. All right. Glue. And stick. Okay, fold it over. Now this is a thicker cardstock, so it just needs different textures. You could even do fabric. The sky's the limit. You could even use foam core cardboard for this. You do not need wood. Look at how cool that looks. I love it. All right, we've got ourselves a collection of books ready to go onto the bookshelf. I highly recommend, if you want to create a whole miniature scene, to go ahead and get the bookshelf kit and the accessories and the board games. Make a whole bundle of it. I hope you did by the time you got to this video. Thank you so much. I'd love to see your creations. Send me an email at craftingthroughit at gmail.com. Goodbye.